edge of my fabric is right at the edge there on the right side of my presser foot, and it doesn't even go out to the first line that's engraved into my throat plate there, and I just try to keep that as straight as I can. Sometimes this helps if I shove that in there. Now, just because that's there doesn't mean you can go 90 miles an hour, because sometimes this moves, the movement, you know, your fabric is heavy enough that it is likely to move that out of the way, and you'll be, you know, 15 inches down the road there on your binding and realize that you've been taking 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch seam allowance rather than 1/4 of an inch. So this is my little contraption that I use for keeping my binding under control. This will not only work for, this is a 2-inch fabric binding, but and it's folded, of course, and pressed, but it'll handle even a wider binding. So anyway, that's something you can use a candle holder for, right? Or you can buy one from me. They are for sale. I don't ever put prices on YouTube because you know, I may not have the same item when you decide you want one and you inquire about it, but I can, you know, if you want one, I can show you what I have and quote prices on email. So you can always email me if you're interested. Okay, I'm going to get back over here to this and finish her up, and I'll be back. I'm just at the place where I'm going to attach the tail of the binding together. So I left plenty of room. This is about a finger from my thumb to, you know, about that far on each side. So I've got that much space. Okay, so the rule is, since I have a ruler in my hand, I rule, right? Measure down from, so the width we established at the beginning, the width of my, oops, gotta get this camera done. It tries to go to sleep on me. So the width of my my binding unfolded is 2 1/4. So I'm going to measure down from this end, from the end of this, 2 1/4, and I'm just going to stick a pin right there to mark that spot. Okay, so 2 1/4 inches from here to here. So I'm going to lay this down on top of that, and I'm going to pull it kind of tight, and then I'm going to grab my little Tweety Bird scissors, and I guess I better mark that since I'm on camera. And I'm going to mark right on top of it with another pin. And the reason I'm doing that is because my hand would be in the, all you would see on camera is the back of my hand. So I'm doing it that way so I can show you what I'm doing. So where I marked it, where it's 2 1/4 on top of that, I'm going to cut it right there, okay, right next to that pin. Okay, so now we're done with the binding, and it lays over this 2 1/4, the same amount of the width. So now I'll take that pin out, and I can take that clip out, because now I'm going to turn it so that it kind of faces me. And let's see, I probably ought to have you on this side so that you can see it from the perspective that you would have it if you were doing the sewing. So let's see if I can do this without making you fall off the edge of the table. There we go. Okay, so we've got this. I'm going to unfold, but we're going to do right sides together. So the idea, I can't even tell you how many times I have done this and had to rip it out and do it the other way because I would get the corners wrong. So this helps a lot to just do it like you're putting bread on top of another piece of bread and going linear. You're going to keep the line going. I'll stick it right there. So I always pin it first. I mean, you can always rip out stitches if you go ahead and sew it. But I've gotten where I pin it like this in the spot where seam would normally be. And then I see if it's going to work. And yes, it will. The seam isn't in the right place. I mean, that's kind of bunchy looking, but at least you can tell that that your crease is going to continue on this side, and when you fold it, it's going to work. So what I did, I'll do it again, because this is where a lot of people get confused. Take this, hold this one like this. It's like a peanut butter jelly sandwich. You got peanut butter, that's the right side. This is a good side. You're going to smack it on there just like that so that these corners are at right angles to each other. Okay? See that? All right. I'm sticking a pin kind of in the middle just to hold it in the right place. I'm going to put that pin there. And I'm going to, get the wrinkles out of that and then go from this corner to this corner. And that's the direction I'm going to sew it. It's just like that. This is the wrong side, right side, right side, so that when you turn it back over, it's going to work right. Okay, I'm going to put it on the machine. So hang on. One of the things I like about having a portable machine, I think I would rather have it in a cabinet, but then sometimes when I can scoot it around on the table like this, I really appreciate being able to do that. And it just seems to be easier if I can put it in there at an angle. See, this is maybe that's about a 20 degree. This is the edge of the table, but I've got my machine sort of tilted this way. Okay, so let's get this put on there. Now, the only thing we're going to sew right now is those two ends of the binding. We're going to put them together. So I don't need that seam. I don't need that little magnet thing. All I need are these two pieces. See, this is the quilt over here, and I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm just going to sew from here to this corner underneath here. Okay? All right. Where can I put the camera? I'll try to sew this without getting my hand in the way. All right, so let's put the knee presser down. Now, put your needle back in the center position so that you're not off the place where you want to have that seam going. Okie dokie here. So here's my corner. Here's my corner right here, and I'm going to keep that directly in line with that needle. So let's go ahead and see if I can do this without blocking your view. So there's the corner. Now, before you get all excited and cut this corner off, check it again. You just pull it out straight, and there it is. So you know that you're gonna have that in the right direction. Okay, once you know that, once you know everything's going in the right direction, then you can cut that off. Go back to your right needle position and then start sewing. You can do a little back stitch, 1 or 2 stitches there just to anchor that down. You never know how much washing and drying a quilt is going to get, especially if you're giving it to someone. And sometimes these quilts get washed way more than you expect them to, and you don't want it to come apart. That has a little pucker there, so I'm just gonna... Oh, I need my glove on. These gloves are really good because they have these little dots on them like that. You can get gloves like this in the garden center, but these are, I don't remember, Fons and Porter gloves that came from the fabric store, so I must have treated myself or had a coupon or something to have these name brand gloves. All right, so I've got the edges of my binding all matched up, and I'm gonna go ahead and sew that down, and then continue to fill in that space there between the stitching where I stopped and started, making sure it's here's the little join where it came together for the last attachment, for the last little put together part, and then this will turn and this will turn. So I will turn this quilt over and top stitch on this part right here. I used to hand stitch all my binding, but it took so long, and when some of the ladies in my quilt group showed me how to do this, oh my goodness, it just, I mean, I don't mind doing handwork, because when I'm doing something else like looking at a video or something on television, then I can sit and do that. But this does shorten the time that it takes to make a quilt. One thing I'm going to do is take a steam iron and just coax that over a little bit. I'm not going to press it real hot and heavy because I don't want it to get flat where the rest of the quilt is not flat. I just want to coax that binding over, and then I'll come back and sew the other side. So with a 2 1/4 cut on your binding, and then on the back side taking a 1/4 inch seam when you put the binding onto the quilt, when you turn it, and this is it depends on the thickness of your batting. This is a medium weight batting, and I have a 1/2 inch to turn over to the front. Helpful things to get this so you're not struggling with it is to go ahead. So I just pressed it from the back side. I coaxed the binding to turn over pretty easily so that I don't have to continually struggle with that. But I'm going to put some clips on the binding like this just to hold it there, so that I can sew faster. See, I've just got a few clips. They're about 4 or 5 inches apart. So I'm gonna get it right up here. And you don't want a lot of heavy pulling from that back side either. So this is going to be one of those things where you stop and readjust the weight of your fabric on your quilt, and then keep going. So let's sew a few inches, and then we will I will cut the camera feed off, and then I will finish the rest of it. Excuse me. And I'm going to do this hopefully without putting my hand in the way of your view. So my needle is going into the fabric right at the edge of this fold. So I'm going to needle down, take this clip out, and let's go back here on this side and look at that. So there's a close-up of where my stitching is, just on the very edge of that. And I'm using about a number 5 gray thread, so it blends really nicely with that violet or lavender or whatever color that's called, so it doesn't stand out a whole lot. It does show, and that doesn't bother me a bit. The thing isn't glued together, it's sewn together, so if you see some of the stitches, it's okay. I got to a corner, and I want to show you how I go around my corners. This is the back side of the corner, and the bulk of the folded fabric is over on this top side. It's over here. Over here. So when I do the front side, I want the bulk to be on this side. So I'll sew down to that spot, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just traveling along here with my needle going into the very, very edge of that fold. Now, before I get to this corner, I want to fold this side over, this side that I'm coming to, the one that's going this way. I want to get that folded and put a little clip there, and I want to take this and make sure that I push that up there as far as it'll go with my finger, so that when I put this back down, when I lay that fold down, camera is kind of in my way. Let me move it over this way, so that this fold comes to an exact 45-degree angle, and it will meet right there on the inside corner. Whoops, drop my scissors. You definitely want these to come together right there where that pin is sticking in. You can even leave the pin there if you want to. Get that all the way, and then stick that in there. And make sure it's going to stay there so that you can, get it sewn down. Okay, so let's keep going here. These gloves really help me to push the fabric around, because there's quite a bit of fabric over here. This is a larger than a twin size quilt. I would say it could probably be a coverlet for a queen or a double size bed. Okay, so I'm approaching that pin. Yikes. So I'm going to scoot it out of there. And you can even use your hand wheel in this inside corner. Now, another thing that folding it this way is good for is because the fold Let's see, because with the direction you're sewing, you're going across the back of the fold, not into the fold, if you know what I mean. So if you were sewing into the fold, you might run the risk of lifting the edge of it up just a little bit, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so I've got my needle down. I'm on this side of the binding now, so now I can lift my presser foot and turn it. And I'll take this clip out, put my presser foot back down, and put this back up there. Okay, so get it so I can manage it. And those first few stitches, I don't mind doing that by hand because it just keeps everything in the right place. And you're only going to do this once around the thing, so you're on the downhill stretch, I would say, you know, the downhill slope, so to speak, on this. So you might as well just take it all the way to the end of the project and do the very best job you can do of this. So let me get a little further away from that corner, and then I'll take it off and we'll look at it again. We'll look at this one. We already looked at one that I actually folded it backwards. I guess I was distracted by the camera. So let's take the camera and go around here. And here's that fold. Now you can see that I can tuck, my fingernail goes into that fold from the opposite side that it did on the other corner. But this is perfect. It hasn't been pressed or anything. Once it's pressed, it'll stay that way forever. So I came to the corner, I did a forward and backward stitch, then I got over here and I started going down that side. So I just wanted you to see that corner was a little easier to go around because the bulk of the fold was over on this side this time, not on this side. And on top, the last corner I did was on top of this other bulk. So this really makes a sharper corner, and it's just beautiful. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So I'm all done now. I've done all of the binding, the top stitching on the binding. This is the top side, and this back, top side, back, and so forth. So this, I love this color of thread. I love the color of thread the long armor used. That would be a net. And if you live in this area and you want her name and number, just let me know, and by email, and I will be happy to give it to you. But this number 5 gray just blends in with everything, almost everything. I guess I could have matched it on here, but it's just not that noticeable. This turned out so well, and I'm so proud of this one. Thank you, Annette. Couldn't have done it without you. And thanks everybody for watching. Until the next time, see ya. God bless you, and I love you. Bye-bye.